Good evening and welcome, dear viewers, to an all-new episode of Second Home and its Ramadan edition. I'm your host, Rita Abdo, and I wish that you are having a great time in this holy month. And again, I would like to wish you Ramadan Mubarak, and I hope you are having a blessed and happy Ramadan with your loved ones, of course. In this episode, we will have an honorable guest from a very beautiful country that lives in the state of Kuwait. And of course, he is here to represent his country, and we are very happy and honored to have him with us today. Let's start off by reviewing what we have during this episode through this contents report.
Dear viewers, in today's episode, we will cover a special touristic place in Kuwait, Al Sadu House, which shed the light on the history of Al Sadu. Moving forward to Ukraine. Ukraine is all, from mountain ranges to old valleys and vibrant cities. We'll be moving to Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, with an enormous history and culture. Keep up with our guest, His Excellency, Dr. Oleksandr Balanutsa, the Ambassador of Ukraine to Kuwait. Stay tuned.
Dear viewers, our honorable guest today is from the Ukraine. Ukraine is a country in Eastern Europe, and it is the second largest country in Europe after Russia, which it borders to the east and northeast. Ukraine also shares borders with Belarus to the north, Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary to the west, Romania and Moldova to the south, and has a coastline along the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea. The capital of Ukraine is Kyiv, and it's one of the world's largest grain exporters and sometimes called the breadbasket of Europe. In 2007, Ukraine occupied the 8th place in Europe by the number of tourists visiting, as Ukraine has numerous touristic attractions such as mountain ranges suitable for skiing, hiking, and fishing. So, dear viewers, our guest today is from the great country. We are happy to have with us His Excellency Dr. Oleksandr Balanutsa, who will of course be joining us right after this report on Ukraine. Stay tuned.
One of the largest countries in Europe, Ukraine offers many attractions for tourists, including festivals celebrating its rich culture and a handsome selection of centuries-old architecture. From the rolling countryside to the cobblestone streets of old city centers, people of Ukraine are just as diverse as its landscape, and there are some of the most hospitable folks in Europe. There are an undiscovered Eastern European gem in search of its own identity and making a unique mark in the world of tourism. Ukraine is home to a host of beautiful places with a great range of tourist activities. Vibrant cities, ancient castles, stunning countryside, diversity of landscapes, and a welcoming attitude all help make it a special destination. Ukraine is overflowing with a great number of both widely known and completely unknown, but yet of great beauty tourist attractions, from the cozy old-fashioned medieval streets of Lviv to industrial architecture and breathtaking landscapes in the south parts of Ukraine. The emerging economies are contributing larger propositions of travelers and becoming increasingly popular as tourist destinations. Ukraine possesses numerous historical, cultural sites and recreational resources, which open significant opportunities in the tourism sector. Green tourism is a relatively young niche in the tourism sector, showing great potential for further growth. The rural areas attract people to get the recreational rest, escape from the daily noise of populated big cities, and open up the authentic Ukrainian village with its history, local traditions, cuisine, and natural beauties. The tourism in the countryside plays an important role for the development of the socio-economic sector. It stimulates the local development of peasant farms, improving the domestic labor market and increasing employment, and also enhancing local infrastructure development, as well as facilitating the sale of agriculture surpluses and bringing extra income for the farmers.
Dear viewers, after viewing this amazing report on Ukraine, we have been joined by His Excellency Dr. Oleksandr Balanutsa, the Ambassador of Ukraine to the State of Kuwait. Good evening, Doctor. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you. So, of course, Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you so much. So we're happy to have you with us today, especially that we're going to be talking about your beautiful country. Ukraine is considered to be rich in its touristic attractions. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to congratulate the people of Kuwait and all the residents with Ramadan. And I hope that this blessed month will give everybody health and wealth, and it will definitely be able to give everyone what it deserves. It's a very nice time of fasting, of joining families, so we'll be very happy. So congratulations, Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you so much.
In regards of Ukraine, I'm more than honored to be invited to speak about my country, and I believe all the representatives of their countries would do the same. And I can probably speak non-stop for hours about this, but to be within the time limits, I can say that Ukraine is steeped in history for many centuries. We have 1,000 years of state building. The architectural innovations, they've offered so much, absorbing from different cultural periods. We have small and big cities, we have towns, we have villages, and every viewer would be offered for his pleasant viewing a very nice thing to try to see, from majestic castles to cathedrals to fortresses. You will see that Ukraine dazzles every tourist with natural beauties, as you mentioned. We have wonderful, strong rivers, Dnipro and Dniester, that maneuver around the wonderful canyons. We have Carpathian Mountains. We are offering wonderful seashores and beaches. But moreover, of the touristic beauties, we also can offer something which is which can be characterized as a potential hub. If we talk about investment projects, Ukraine offers a number of privileges for those who are ready to invest. Ukrainian government passed the legislation that offers so-called investment nannies, which are very privileged legislation grounds that would allow the investor to feel himself comfortable.
That's amazing.
We can also offer some IT hub for IT startups, what Ukraine is known for, computer technologies and IT. And also it's a very nice medicine rehabilitation hub.
Definitely.
Where lots of families from Kuwait, where I'm very happy, are traveling every month to have their rehabilitation, family-wise or by its own individual program. So Ukraine is everything.
Definitely. A lot of Kuwaitis love going to Ukraine because, as you said, we can find everything there. From amazing buildings, architecture, to even beautiful beaches to enjoy the day, and the medical aspect for sure. We have a lot of even Ukrainian doctors in Kuwait that we all love visiting. So I'd like to thank you for all of that. So Your Excellency, you have resided in Dubai for 4 years.
Correct.
If that's true. And now you're in your second home, Kuwait. Can you tell us a bit about your diplomatic journey?
Wow, that's a very it's a very personal, very strong question. Thank you so much. Why? Because every diplomat is traveling across his life in many countries, and every country is a home for him for at least 4 or 5 years. Dubai is my first stop, my first position. I definitely enjoyed 4 years of my life there. And once you dive into the Arabic Gulf, you can't come ashore. You want to continue, and I don't think myself, working somewhere in Europe. After Dubai, when I had some experience acquired, and then I was appointed as ambassador to Kuwait, what I can say, you cannot compare these places. First of all, because Dubai, I was doing the consulate job, which is a different functionality of what you have to do.
Yes.
In Kuwait, I am more honored to present my country at different levels, from political to cultural to sport to everything. But the life in Dubai showed me that every diplomat should start with something that he can give as an experience to his younger colleagues.
Of course.
And working there in Dubai for 4 years, I've launched a diplomatic course, educational course, which is called Raisins of Diplomacy, which I started teaching at the Friday school at the United Arab Emirates premises in Ukrainian House. And then we do it online with the universities. And I still teach that course with the Ukrainian universities.
Perfect.
And even my postdoctoral program is also devoted to education of diplomacy.
That's amazing. So you're really able to do more than one thing.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm trying to be active whenever I can give my experience, and I really want to be involved in many spheres.
Of course. Hopefully, good luck with
Thank
that.
you so
I think
much.
you're already doing a great job. So, in every country, we have different customs or traditions. You didn't come so far from the traditions in Dubai. We have a lot of similarities. But after spending some time in Kuwait, what are the customs and traditions that you have found close to your heart in a way?
To be honest and frankly speaking, the best thing which I immediately pointed out and emphasized is diwania, this hospitality, this generosity of people, because the smile is different. I mean, many Arab people are smiling because they're really nice and they want to introduce themselves. But Kuwaitis, when they give you a smile, it really means a smile. And when you ask them about the customs, the tradition, the diwania thing, when you enter the house, the building, and then everybody is there as your friend, and they say and they mean it, that this house is yours, and you feel yourself absolutely comfortable. So diwania, the hospitality, the generosity of the family, Kuwaiti family that invites you there to sit at the table, to talk, to discuss, it's something which, believe me, I want to repeat, or I want to do the same when I come back home, and I want to have my diwania. So the people would come and enjoy their time with me. So this would probably be the best thing which I was amazed by, the diwania thing.
Yes, it would be amazing if you actually have a diwania in Ukraine.
That's what I want to do.
Such a cross of traditions and culture between Europe and the Gulf region. And yes, diwanis, I think, are a really big part of our culture and something that people do enjoy because it does become personal, although you're surrounded with a big group of men.
And you also know that in diwania, when you exchange your ideas, you pick up the language, you pick up the culture, the stories, where you will not be able to pick up from the TV programs or from the books. Believe me, a part of my language skills, which I acquired, was from Diwania. When you don't understand where it comes from, it just comes and you have to write it down. So you write it down and use it.
Definitely.
That's the best university you can have.
Because I think you'll be learning words that we do use on a day-to-day basis that we wouldn't be learning when we're taking an online course or, trying to learn Arabic.
There's a specific, the peculiarity of the language where you can pick it from Diwania accent.
Definitely.
It's very nice.
Well, of course, we're going to be talking more, but first, dear viewers, we're going to be taking a break and we will be right back with His Excellency.
الوضع جدا جدا سيء.
في عنا حالات وصلت للموت وطلعت ورجعت طبيعية وما أحلاها، وفي عنا حالات بتلاقيه منيح وبتحس إنه في أمل، بتلف وشك عنه لهالجهة وبترجع بتلاقي الدنيا انقلبت.
هو مرض يسوي تجلطات وتخثر في الجسم، يسبب تجلطات رئوية، في ناس ياتنا في تجلطات في الدماغ.
وما زلنا نتعلم الفيروس هذا، ما نتعرفه. الفيروس كان تحدي كبير لعالم الطب.
أنا أسمع وايد إنه والله مثلا هذا مرض يصيب كبار السن ولا مرض يصيب مثلا مجموعة معينة من الناس وما راح يصير فينا إحنا شيء، ولكن أنا أقول لك من واقع خبرتي وعلاجي حق المرضى. أصغر مريضة عالجتها عمرها 14 سنة وما كانت تحتاج بس جهاز تنفس، كانت تحتاج دعم، جهاز دعم حياة خارج الجسم. هذا من أجهزة اللي بدونها الحياة ما تستمر.
زملائنا قاعد نفقدهم مع أنه ما فيهم أي أمراض ولا كبار بالعمر، شباب صغار قاعد نفقدهم بسبب هالمرض، وللحين يقول لك لا هذا مفتعل والفيروس ليس حقيقي.
أنا بس حاب إني أقول حق هالناس هذيلا إن إذا أنت عندك شك لو 1%، تعال داوم زام واحد وياي.
Dear viewers, we are back from the short break, of course, with His Excellency, the Ambassador of Ukraine to the state of Kuwait. So before the break, we were talking about some traditions that you have grown to love here in Kuwait. But what about the places that you personally prefer to visit? There are so many, such as historical places and traditional markets. Where do you usually keep going back to?
Thank you for the question. This keep going thing, it stopped so long time ago that you cannot even remember. But
Yes.
definitely I have my favorite places in Kuwait. If you mention, even the Kuwait Towers, as considered to be as the water reservoir, but they are the symbol of Kuwait, and especially the amazing at night when they illuminated. And I
Yes.
remember during the week of Ukraine in Kuwait, back in January 2020, there was a light show of the colors of our flag.
That's
blue,
amazing.
Blue and yellow, and it was amazing. And the colors of Ukrainian flag on the Kuwait Towers are amazing. So from time to time, I do walk close by and just enjoy in the evening on how to see it, even definitely before the curfew hour.
Definitely.
And the second place is probably the Al-Shahid Park, because it narrates the story of the land, of the people, of the tradition. And definitely it deserves the right, the environmental awareness and protection. And we're thinking with our staff at the embassy on how to put the audio guide in Ukrainian language in Shahid Park, so that those Ukrainians who come or delegation come, they could have a chance to actually listen to the story in Ukrainian. And another probably piece is definitely the architectural complex, Sheikh Jabir Cultural Center.
It's beautiful.
Unbelievable, beautiful. The musician fountain is definitely a place you would like to walk by and listen to the music. It's amazing. I'm really hoping that after the quarantine is over, we'll be able to get back to walking and talking and listening. So these are pretty much the places that I would emphasize.
Hopefully, as you said, COVID-19 will be over and we'll go back to our semi-normal life. As you mentioned, Jack is beautiful. You can have a really good meal. We'll talk later about the food here in Kuwait and also, of course, listen to the music. But Your Excellency, now we're going to be looking at Kyiv, which is a really important city in Ukraine. So now, dear viewers, we're going to be viewing a report about Kyiv, which is the capital and most populous city of Ukraine. Of course, it is in the north-central Ukraine along the Dnieper River. Kyiv is an important industrial, scientific, educational, and cultural center of Eastern Europe. It enjoys an abundance of its touristic potential, including museums and churches, and boasts many wonderful gardens and parks. Of course, Kyiv is a hospitable city and has a lot to offer its visitors from different parts of the world. So let's go view this report and we'll be right back.
Kyiv, a cultural and scientific capital of Eastern Europe. A new growth in the generation of tourism has people from all over the world drawn to the city's rich culture and history, flamboyant architecture, and lush greenery. Kyiv offers many diverse activities to enjoy, from kayaking in the city's river to appreciating the golden onion domes on many of the city's buildings. Kyiv is the country's largest city, with a population of 3 million. Sitting on the banks of the Dnieper River, it is one of the most ancient cities in Europe, dating back to at least 580. The city's long history has resulted in a fascinating mix of architectural styles, creating a city center skyline that is all its own. The people of Kyiv are also friendly and fiercely proud of their city and their nation. Tourist numbers in Kyiv are increasing yearly. It's an easy place to meet people and make new friends. With 1,500 years of history, you will find architectural styles to suit any taste, from gold-covered domes and Soviet tower blocks. The greenery of the gardens, the trees lining the street, the squares that it intersects, all combine with the variegated colors of brick, red and gray granites, and decorative ceramic tiles to give charismatic and interactive and colorful aspect much admired by Kyiv's inhabitants. The city limits enclose an area of 300 square miles, on both banks of the Dnieper River. Kiev is one of the best places to visit in Ukraine.
Dear viewers, we are back from this report on Kyiv, and of course we are continuing our conversation with His Excellency, the Ambassador of Ukraine to the State of Kuwait. So we just viewed this report on Kyiv, and we can see how there's so many things to do there. It's such a beautiful city, and it's definitely the capital city of Ukraine, right?
Correct. I feel like home, watching the amazing report. Now I feel like I've been visiting Kiev since 2 years. I have not traveled home. So for 2 years, I've been here, and I really hope that this summer I'll be able to visit my country. For Kiev, it is important to emphasize that it's not just the capital. It is the beginning of the Kiev Rus, where the first city was established, the Kiev, and it dates back to 1,500 years old, given the culture, the history, the tradition of the whole European civilization. In a way, I believe that we deserve to be, we are a European country, and we deserve to be in the roots of the European civilization. So it was amazing. Thank you so much for picking up the best and emphasizing this to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you. And hopefully you'll be able to go back and we'll be able to visit when travel rules ease up.
Looking forward to see you in Kiev.
Hopefully. So now with the Ramadan theme, since we're in this holy month, the number of Muslims in Ukraine is 500,000. So they do actually make up 6% or a bit more of the population. So can you tell us a bit about the Ramadan customs, we can say, or traditions that distinguish Ukraine from other countries during this month?
Well, very important question to emphasize. Thank you so much. Indeed, the Constitution of Ukraine, I would start, it guarantees the freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, freedom of worship, in order to create a more tolerant society.
Yes.
And the Muslims, the Islam has always been an integral part of Ukrainian society. The Muslim community, especially Crimea Tatar Muslim community, which is our ethnic minority, ethnic group. The president of Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken, last year even established a working group on how to protect and promote the rights of the Muslim community. They are enjoying quite worthy positions among other religious tendencies. And I'm not sure what about the number of the Muslims there, but believe me that they are fully enjoying their spiritual life.
Yes.
We have a number of the platforms and religious platforms and the Islam organizations which promote and devote and advocate the traditions of the Islam.
Yes.
And of course, during all the festivities, all the festivals, especially the Ramadan, and then definitely after that the Eid al-Fitr, we have lectures, we have volunteers who lecture to people why it is important, what is there, the holy months of Ramadan, what is Eid al-Fitr, what traditions do we have in order to observe the tradition of this month. I believe that Ukrainians, the ethnic Ukrainians, also get information from this religious center that dispel the myths that usually attributed to this religion. So we are getting more information from these Islam centers that do the educational role. They do lots of things, charity things. It's very important.
Since you mentioned the charity things, I think in Ramadan, a big thing we focus on other than fasting and the festivities is being kind to one another, really respecting others and being tolerant to a lot of things in life. So can you talk to us a bit about charities in Ramadan, regardless if it's in the Ukraine or in Kuwait?
You're absolutely right. Ramadan is not only about fasting, and that's why those mentioned by me, the organizations, the Islamic organizations and religious organizations, they offer educational materials. They educate people. Why do we have Ramadan? Why we have fasting? What it comes to? What it brings itself in history about the fasting, and especially the charity. I have to mention, it's a great pleasure for me to mention the efforts of the Embassy of Kuwait to Ukraine and Dr. Rashid Al-Adwani, the ambassador of Kuwait to Ukraine, that they are doing a lot of charity works that are giving educational materials for sure, and then some of the charity things which they give to those in need, or in order to support the traditions. And of course, the joy of rejoining yourself with the family at the table, when you are being tolerant, when you are being thinking about others, about their needs, when you restrain yourself during the months of many things, then it gives you a chance to understand that some people lack what you usually have. So that's important. And I'm very happy that we have this educational resources campaign that allow people to understand more and more about this.
Yes, Your Excellency, I think you really pointed out a very important thing, that sometimes we forget the blessings that we have, and this is just a great time to reflect and give back to the community and to our loved ones and to the country, of course. So Ukrainian cuisine is amazing, but I'm guessing it's completely different than our Kuwaiti traditional one. A really big difference, to be honest.
Huge.
Yeah, I can't imagine anything really crossing over between both cuisines. So what are the Kuwaiti foods, traditional dishes, or even sweets that you have grown to love?
Kuwait.
Wow.
Since I'm a sweet tooth, then I would probably start with the most important for me.
Amazing.
So it should be umali, number one.
Really good.
This should be sabal gafsha. Sheikh Intisar al-Sabah, she showed me once this when I was invited to her place. Sabal gafsha that her mama did, amazing thing. Then I know that not many Kuwaitis know balalit.
Yes.
It's a very nice, sweet.
That's very traditional.
Very nice.
It's amazing that you like it.
Very nice. And also Buda al-Arabiya. And maybe, apart from dessert, it's hashi.
Okay.
You take really very nice camel meat.
So we can really tell you're really into your dessert.
It's the dessert thing, yeah. But I'm really sweet tooth.
That's amazing. So you have really tried a lot of dishes and grown to love them. You surprised me with the balalit part. That's extremely traditional. You don't even find it a lot in restaurants.
Not many even Kuwaitis, they're balalit menu.
Yes.
So it's very
I think especially the newer generation are still discovering balalit, but it's great that you have had experience with it. Of course, we're going to continue our conversation, but dear viewers, first we're going to be taking a really fast break and we will be back with His Excellency. Please stay tuned. Dear viewers, we are back from the short break to continue our conversation with His Excellency Dr. Oleksandr Balanutsa, the Ambassador of Ukraine to the State of Kuwait. So after the topic of food that we all love and enjoy here in Kuwait, can you give us an example of why you see Kuwait as a second home? Or would you recommend it as a second home now that you have been here for 2 years nearly? Unfortunately, a lot of your time was lost during COVID-19 restrictions and quarantine, but would you see Kuwait as a second home?
Well, a very honest question and very honest and sincere answer. Of course, Kuwait is different from European countries where we're coming from. Even though that I lived and worked in the United Arab Emirates, which have a feel and touch of their Arab culture, Kuwait was absolutely different. And in order for me to answer that question 2 years ago, I would not be able to say it.
Definitely.
Now, after I emphasized and described that I have Diwaniyah thing, I feel at home.
Yes.
I don't see any questions that I cannot resolve. But if I need to ask advice, a friendly advice or someone, and I go to Diwaniyah and I have all the answers, I am at home. In order for a person to feel at home, then he has to feel safe. he has to feel secure and he has to feel comfortable, which I have everything here. I'm safe because of the government in Kuwait taking precautionary measures in all the respects.
Definitely.
I feel comfortable because I have friends and Diwania, which gives me, it's a land in hand in everything.
Yes.
And I feel absolutely comfortable. And in order to make more comfortable, Embassy of Ukraine was also trying to do many things to align the cultures as much as we could. We started talking about the direct flight between Ukraine and Kuwait to get us, connected.
Closer, yes.
We wanted to show cuisine, Ukrainian cuisine here. We had an event where we showed what we had. We had a week of Ukraine in Kuwait with a number, consecutive 25 events during 1 week to make sure that Kuwaitis feel comfortable with Ukraine. So yes, I am feeling at home. I am feeling at home. And definitely, if you know what you value in life, that's definitely the place to be.
Definitely. And it makes me so happy to hear that in such a short period of time, 2 years may seem long, but when experience homesickness and being away from home, 2 years is such a short time. So I'm happy that you are enjoying Kuwait. And since you're here with us today, Your Excellency, and with the blessed nights of Ramadan, do you have any messages or greetings that you would like to pass on to our viewers or even the Ukrainians watching and with us here in Kuwait today?
Thank you, ma'am. If you allow me, I would really, it would be my honor to, first of all, thank the leadership of the country for building this country in a way that we feel at home, all the residents who are living here, and I'm very thankful that I'm part of that life. I'm very thankful for the government of Kuwait, which is taking all the necessary measures to protect us from unfortunate COVID that hit the world.
Yes.
And to understand the Ramadan blessing, as you mentioned, we forgot that we are blessed with our life, that we breathe, that we smile, that we walk. Now everybody remembers the way that we would be actually walking, that we would take a passport and get to the airport and fly and enjoy the world. So what I want to say is that we have to be tolerant and we have to remember what we have in life, that we can cherish what we have. And of course, I want to wish the people of Kuwait, the residents of Kuwait, to be healthy. I want them to be tolerant to their surrounding and to remember that the Creator gave us everything to be happy so that we can also give our happiness to the people who surround us.
Definitely. Thank you so much for these kind words. It was definitely our pleasure to have you with us today on Second Home, and hopefully we'll get to you again.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Dear viewers, we had with us His Excellency Dr. Oleksandr Balanutsa, the Ambassador of Ukraine to the State of Kuwait. And now we're going to be going on a short break and we will be right back. Dear viewers, and for our next segment, we have our Kuwaiti touristic spot or heritage destination report, which will be shedding light on a new spot this week that is certainly worth visiting for locals and tourists. So let's view this week's special place and we will be right back.
Al Sadu House Museum. The House of Sadu was built in 1936 by the late Yusuf al-Marzouk in the traditional Kuwaiti style, influenced by decorative artistic elements from India. It contains 4 exposed enclosures. The most important characteristics of its doors, windows, and wooden cabinets with beautiful artistic inscriptions. Al Sadu House was built by the famous Kuwaiti engineer Rashid al-Bannai, where the house was built with stone using concrete to reinforce its structure and became the first house in Kuwait of its kind and aroused a lot of interest in its middle among Kuwaitis. The house was expropriated in the early 1970s by the state and became affiliated with the Ministry of Information and then the National Council for Culture, Arts and Literature. In 1980, this traditional building embraced the Sado project to preserve the heritage of weaving, and it became known as the Sado House, a traditional textile heritage house. In 2006, the building was restored to continue its cultural role in the governorate and to introduce the textile heritage from the Badia to the city. This role continues to this day, conservative and defined by bright aspects of heritage and social history in Kuwait, and it continues giving efforts and preserving the cultural identity and encouraging contemporary creative artistic expression. Al-Sadu is one of the basic Badia letters, through which a woman expresses superior manual skill. The girl begins to practice the craft from an early age and works to help her mother in spinning, dyeing and weaving parts of the verse. By the time she reaches the age of 16, she is often familiar with knitting most of inscriptions. The skilled woman in knitting is called Dafra, meaning a winner, and she was admired and appreciated by her group. The National Council for Culture, Arts and Literature completed the restoration and maintenance of the house while removing some additions that affect its foundations.
Dear viewers, welcome back to the studios of Second Home for a final time this evening after this report that we viewed. And with that, we have reached the end of our episode for tonight. I hope you enjoyed all the content created specifically for you by our team here at Second Home. And of course, we will be back next week with a very special guest. So till then, stay safe and have a wonderful evening, and Ramadan Mubarak again.